Having begun the first movement by seeking the touch of her lover's mouth, the woman commences the second by invoking the speech of his lips. The voice of my lover, behold, he comes, leaping upon the mountains, bounding over the hills. My lover is like a gazelle, an animal celebrated for form and beauty, or a young stag, a simile for youthful vigor, gazing through windows, peering through the lattice. So the eager lover tries to catch the sight of the beloved while she's preparing herself for their meeting, peering through the lattice. Really interesting imagery, poetic imagery. The man then says, "Arise, my darling, my beautiful one. See, the winter is past, the rains are over, flowers appear." It's the first signs of spring. Also, love imagery. The fig tree forms its early fruit. The blossoming vines spread their fragrance. My dove, in the clefts of the rock, show me your face, let me hear your voice. Catch for the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards. Another famous verse, a metaphor for the lover's physical beauty. Our vineyards that are in bloom. So attractiveness is celebrated in its prime with the desire that the lovers be kept safe from whatever foxes might mar their mutual attractiveness. Then the woman speaks, famously, my lover is mine and I am his. Dodi li vani lo. Famous passage in Hebrew that is inscribed over and over again on wedding rings to this day. They belong to each other exclusively. There's no intrusion in their relationship as he browses among the lilies. So the lover is compared to a gazelle, and browsing is a metaphor for the lover's intimate enjoyment of her charms. And Phyllis Tribble again comments, throughout the song, Eros is inclusive. The love between two welcomes the love of companionship of many. My lover is mine and I am his. Love is harmony. Neither male nor female asserts power or possession over the other. And this is deliberate, argues Tribble, that the Genesis account ends with the man asserting power over the woman. The song redeems Genesis with mutuality. Neither one maintains power over the other. Echoing the divine judgment upon the first woman, your desire shall be for your man, but he shall rule over you. In Eden, the yearning of the woman for harmony with her man continued after disobedience, yet the man did not reciprocate. Instead, he ruled over her to destroy unity and pervert sexuality. Her desire became his dominion. But in the song, male power vanishes. His desire becomes her delight. I am my lover's, and for me is his desire. Pretty powerful stuff. Agree or disagree. She's writing with a point to prove, an axe to grind, and an angle to present. Until the day breaks, the text goes on, and the shadows flee. Turn, my lover, and be like a gazelle or like a stag on the rugged hills. And again, Tribble writes, in the Garden of Eden, the animals lived in tension with the human creatures. But in the garden, the Song of Songs, this tension disappears. No serpent bruises the heel of female or male. No animals are indicted as unfit companions for humankind. On the contrary, the beasts of the field and the birds of the air now become synonyms for human joy. Their names are metaphors for love. These creatures are often used for physical descriptions of the lovers. In the opening poem of the second movement, the woman limbs her mate. My lover is like a gazelle or a young stag. And the poetry goes on. I will get up now and go about the city. The watchmen found me as they made their rounds in the city. Scarcely had I passed them when I found the one my heart loves. I held him, would not let him go, till I had brought him to my mother's house. Mother is referred to frequently, and the father is never mentioned. We've encountered this expression, mother's house, before in the biblical text. And what does that mean about Israelite society? That while it's patriarchal, did in fact the women rule the roost? To the room of the one who conceived me. And Tribble writes, this entry into the mother's house for intercourse suggests its opposite in Genesis 2:24. There, the man broke up a family for the sake of sexual union. He left his father and mother. In the song, the woman is emphasized by contrast as the one who brings the man into her mother's house. Daughters of Jerusalem, I charge you by the gazelles, do not arouse or waken love till it so desires. Once again, this occurs at the moment of intimacy. And again, Phyllis Tribble writes, the motifs of the search, the watchman, and the mother's house surface again in various combinations in the conclusions of the third and fourth movements. Coming together here in the encounter of love, they allow the woman to close this second movement exactly as she did the first. Thus she implores the daughters of Jerusalem to let love happen according to its own rhythm. She opens the third movement with a question about her lover. What is that coming up from the wilderness like a column of smoke? And that's the third song. The woman perhaps spoken by friends at a wedding procession of Solomon and the bride approaching the city. That's one idea. Solomon and his bride are approaching, and this is what was spoken. Maybe. Who is this coming from the desert like a column of smoke? The verse begins a new moment in the relationship. Look at Solomon's carriage. It's direct reference to Solomon. Question is it really Solomon or just country folk pretending? Escorted by 60 warriors, the noblest of Israel. King Solomon made for himself the carriage. Its posts he made of silver. Come out, you daughters of Zion, and look at King Solomon wearing the crown. Maybe a wedding wreath, and they're calling that the crown. The crown with which his mother, who would that be? Bathsheba, crowned him on the day of his wedding, the day his heart rejoiced. And the man says, how beautiful you are, my darling, how beautiful your eyes behind your veil are doves. Of course, the rest of the face is covered. The attention is on the lover's eyes. The beloved's tresses remind the lover of a flock of black goats streaming down the hills of Gilead. Your teeth are like a flock of sheep coming up after the washing, still wet like moistened teeth. Each has its twin, not one is alone. Your lips are like a scarlet ribbon. Maybe the beloved painted her lips like Egyptian women. Your neck is like the Tower of David, your two breasts like two fawns, tender, delicate beauty, a promise rather than full growth. Until the day breaks and the shadows flee, I will go to the mountain of myrrh, all metaphors for sexual intimacy. And the man speaks, all beautiful you are, my darling, there is no flaw in you. From the lion's dens and the mountain haunts of the leopards, the beloved seems to have withdrawn as if to some remote mountain. You've stolen my heart, my sister, my bride, addressing her lover as brother or sister, being common in love poetry of the ancient Near East. You've stolen my heart. with one jewel of your necklace. How delightful is your love, my sister, my bride. Your lips drop sweetness as the honeycomb, my bride. Milk and honey, evocative of the imagery of the promised land. Fragrance of your garments like that of Lebanon. The people of the ancient Near East associated sweetness with the delights of love. You were a garden, a place of sensual delights, locked up, arguably a reference to virginity here. My sister, my bride, you are a spring enclosed, a sealed fountain. Metaphors for the beloved as a sexual partner. And again, Tribble writes, a garden, gan, the Hebrew, in Eden, locates the tragedy of disobedience in Genesis 2 and 3. But the garden itself signals delight, not disaster. And that perspective reverberates in the Song of Songs. The woman is a garden, a gan, and to the garden her lover comes. This vocabulary appears first in the third movement when the man describes love withheld. Your plants, the beloved's features that delight the lover, are an orchard. The Hebrew is pardes, or paradise, loaned from an old Persian word, an enclosure or a royal park, in this case of pomegranates, choice fruits, and more reference to exotic trees and spices, the charms of the beloved. You are a garden, a well of flowing water, fresh, of course, and not stagnant. And Tribble writes, this imagery recalls the subterranean stream that watered the earth before creation. Even this, arguably, directly going back in its imagery to the Garden of Eden. And now the woman says, awake, north wind, and come, south wind. And all of these, the May fragrance of my charms, may they be wafted about to draw my lover to me, to enjoy love's intimacies. She belongs to him. She yields herself to her lover. So she's inviting the fragrance of charms to draw the lover. The man says, I've come into my garden, my sister, my bride. Again, the lover claims the beloved as his garden, enjoys her delights. The friends applaud the enjoyment of love. The woman speaks, eat, O friends, or the women, rather, plural. Now the woman, I slept, but my heart was awake. Love holds sway even in sleep. The man says, to me, my sister, my darling, my love, my flawless one. The woman, I have taken off my robe. Must I put it on again? There's an instinctive reaction here that raises a foolish complaint before the language of love takes over. My lover thrust his hand through the latch opening. My heart began to pound for him. Phyllis Tribble weighs in. Never is the woman called a wife, nor is she required to bear children. In fact, to the issues of marriage and procreation, the song does not speak. Love for the sake of love is its message, and the portrayal of the female delineates this message best. No mention of children, but very much erotic imagery here. My lover thrust his hand through the latch opening. I arouse to open for my lover, and my hands dripped with myrrh. No wonder traditional religious sages were so embarrassed by this and tried to allegorize the whole song. My fingers flowing with myrrh. I opened for my lover, but my lover had left. The watchman found me as they made the rounds. O daughters of Jerusalem, I charge you, what will you tell him? And the women speak, how is your beloved better than others? The friend's question provides an opportunity for the beloved to describe the beauty of her lover, which she does only here. And the woman, my lover, is radiant and ruddy. Head is purest gold. The beloved's hair is also black, apparently, black as a raven. Eyes are like doves, sparkling, washed in milk, the white of the eye. Lips are dripping with myrrh, similes, comparing the sensuous effects rather than appearances. Excitement aroused by the lover's lips. His body is like polished ivory, with sapphires, the Hebrew word sapir, from which we get our word sapphire. His mouth is sweetness itself, namely kisses and love talk. This is my lover, my friend, O daughters of Jerusalem. How often are a couple really best friends? They are here. The women and or the friends now say, where has your lover gone? Which way did your lover turn? The question asked by the friends forms a transition from the beloved's description of the lover to her acknowledgement of intimacy and the exclusiveness of the relationship. My lover has gone down to his garden, to the beds of spices, to browse in the gardens and gather lilies. So the lover is enjoying the intimacies with the beloved, compared to a graceful gazelle nibbling from lily to lily, enjoying exotic delicacies. I am my lover's and my lover is mine. Ani ledodi v'dodi li. Famous verse, of course, in the Hebrew. Browsing among the lilies. It's a reversal here. Yielding to her lover. The fifth song. The man speaks, you are beautiful, my darling, as Tirzach, lovely as Jerusalem. The cities are depicted as women. The beloved's beauty is evoked in the lover's emotions, like those aroused by troops marching under its banners. Turn your eyes from me, they overwhelm me. The beloved's eyes awaken such intensity of love that he's held captive. 60 queens there may be, and 80 concubines, and virgins beyond number. It's like Solomon's harem. But my dove, my perfect one, the only daughter of her mother, uniquely loved. The maidens saw her and called her blessed. They praised her beauty, of course. And, writes Phyllis Tribble, certain groups are hostile, for not all the world loves a lover. Specifically, the woman encounters anger from her brothers and physical assault from the watchmen of the city. But other witnesses celebrate the happiness and beauty of the lovers. Kings, queens, and concubines, warriors, indeed an army with banners, merchants with fragrant powders, shepherds and daughters of Jerusalem. The woman herself exults that other women as well as men adore her mate. The text goes on, who is this that appears like dawn? I went down to the grove of nut trees to look at the new growth. Before I realized it, my desire set me among the royal chariots of my people. The most obscure verse in the song. Before I realized it, my desire set me among the royal chariots of my people. What does that mean? Something to ponder, at least. Come back, come back. Shuvi, Shuvi, O Shulamite. Either a variant of the word Shunammite or the feminine form of the word Solomon. Come back, that we may gaze on you. The woman says, why would you gaze on the Shulamite as on the dance of Machanaim? And the man says, how beautiful are your sandaled feet, O prince's daughter. Your graceful legs, the Hebrew suggesting curvaceous legs, or thighs, are like jewels, the work of a craftsman's hands. The woman says, may the wine go straight to my lover. In the next verse, I belong to my lover and his desire is for me, mirroring again Genesis 3:16, where it was the woman's desire for the man. The man rules over. Now it's reversed. His desire, says the woman, is for me. not the other way around. So is that intentional, drawing us back to Eden and indicating mutuality? Come, my lover, let us go to the countryside. Let us go up early to the vineyards. There I will give you my love, offering herself completely. Reference to the mandrakes, short-stemmed herbs associated with fertility, with a pungent odor, aromatic again, send out their fragrance at the door where the lovers meet. And there's still a sense of enjoyment to come, still to be enjoyed. If only you were to me like a brother who was nursed at my mother's breasts. I would kiss you, no one would despise me. There's open affection here with no sense of public shame. More reference to nectar, intoxicating juices. O daughters of Jerusalem, do not arouse or awaken love till it so desires. Building up to the climax, who is coming from the desert, leaning on her lover. Sexual union and birth associated with fruit trees. The woman says, under the apple tree I aroused you. There your mother conceived me. And the song then reaches its literary climax, disclosing its perfect purpose, namely 3 wisdom statements. Love is the most strong, it is unyielding, and the most invincible force in human experience. Place me as a seal over your heart, like a seal on your arm, for love is as strong as death. Jealousy, unyielding as the grave, it burns like blazing fire, like a mighty flame. And the Hebrew here suggests the most intense flame kindled by God. Many waters cannot quench love, rivers cannot wash it away. If one were to give all the wealth of one's house for love, it would be utterly scorned. Ocean depths, also primeval waters associated with the realm of the dead. And the 4th wisdom statement, declaring love's unsurpassed worth. Famous Israeli recording artist Ofra Haza, now passed away, put this to music. The woman's brothers now chime in. We have a young sister, and her breasts are not yet grown. What shall we do for our sister on the day she is spoken for? In the ancient Near East, brothers were often guardians of their sisters, especially in terms of marriage. Marriage, of course, was contracted at an early age. If she is a wall, we will build towers of silver on her. If she's a door, we'll enclose her with panels of cedar. In other words, they'll defend her till the proper time. They'll adorn her for marriage. And the woman says, I am a wall, and my breasts are like towers. Thus I have become in his eyes like one bringing contentment. The beloved rejoicing now in her maturity. The man chimes in, Solomon had a vineyard in Baal Hamon. He let out his vineyard to his tenants. But my own vineyard is mine to give. 1,000 shekels are for you, O Solomon, and 200 are for those who tend its fruit. So the beloved's reference to her vineyard suggests a return to the beginning of the song. As Solomon is master of his vineyard, so the beloved is mistress of her attractions to dispense them as she will, offering Solomon's owner's portion of her vineyard. You who dwell in the gardens with friends in attendance, let me hear your voice. So the beloved invites the lover to accompany her to the countryside and to the vineyards. And Phyllis Tribble again weighs in on this. Male and female first become one flesh in the Garden of Eden. There, a narrator reported briefly their sexual union. Now in another garden, the lovers themselves praise at length the joys of intercourse. Come away, my lover, and be a gazelle or like a young stag. So display your strength and agility for my delight on the spice-laden mountains. If the Bible rails against shallow infatuation, what makes this any different from shallow Saul? Why is this story different from just shallow infatuation? Well, according to Tribble, with her feminist reading, it's all about mutuality, and that makes it different indeed. The Song of Songs is special. It's different. In spite of the patriarchal society that was a reality in those days, this poem declares how it could be and really how it ought to be. So let it be written. So let it be done.
Excuse me, sweetie. Professional.
Weak! So weak. You want to see a splash? I'm going to show you a splash. Ready?